All right, so this demo is on how to create the foundation footings in Revit. We'll be doing 3 footings. We'll be doing one that's kind of a garage curb. We'll be doing an exterior footing, and we'll be doing one that kind of goes between the garage and the house. All right, so let's go start using Peyton Woods here. So thank you, Peyton, for volunteering. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. Okay, so if I take a look at this thing in 3D, you will notice that the foundation footings are here. I'm going to go ahead and take all these out just for the purposes of the demo. So what Peyton has here are 2 floors. She has a floor that's going underneath the house, and she also has the floor that's in the garage. Now we know that the floor in the garage is at -6 inches, and we know that the house floor is at 0, and that's the way you should have it. In this, she's got 5-inch floors, and that's perfectly fine. We're not going to deal with the outside stuff right now. We'll deal with that later. A lot of it's the same kind of process. All right. We're going to start with the exterior footing. Now, as you do the exterior footing, let me just get rid of some of these sections here. She's got a whole bunch of them in here. And part of that's because she did this correctly, and I'm just kind of taking her work. Okay, just so we're not confused here. Let's see. Take that. All right, beautiful. All right, nice and clean. So the first footing we're going to do is going to be the one that just goes around the basic outside walls, just the basic outside walls of the house. If I was to cut a section through there now, what you're going to find is, you've got this hunk of concrete. I'm going to set this to medium. I've got this hunk of concrete, and it's kind of going to the outside face of core. So this is perfect, the outside face of core of the wall. It may seem weird that this outside part of the wall is overhanging, but that's exactly what happens. And then the stud goes on the edge of the slab floor. So we need some support underneath this thing in order to dissipate the weight of this wall on this piece of concrete. If we did a lot of weight on this wall, it would basically crack the concrete right there, and that would be a bad thing. So that's our game plan. All right. So let me just go ahead and get rid of that. Delete. You have to make a strategy on how you're going to do this. Now on Peyton's here, I want to start right here. And I'm just going to go this way. I'm going to meander around. I'm going to go around her tower and then up and then over. This tower will create a special challenge. And then it's going to go up and around. So you get a strategy on how you're going to get around. Now you're not going to go into the garage. I would stop right there. You're not going to go between the garage and the house, and you're not going to go anywhere in the garage at all. Just the outside footing. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to set up a section view that's going to encompass the middle of the first wall you're going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and put mine right about here. Pull that back. So what this has to do is this has to kind of gobble up the middle part of the first wall you're going to do. And I'm going to just remember which one this is. This is section 1. So since I deleted all the other ones, section 1, remember that one. All right, so here we go. So the process we're going to use is called a sweep. And a sweep is basically a shape that follows a path. So here we go. We're going to go to Components. We're going to go to Model in Place. And we're going to put this in, put it in a category that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and put this in Structural Foundations. So if I was to view hide something, that would make sense on where it's going to go. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call this EXTFTG, exterior footing, hit OK. And then we're going to make this thing as a sweep. Now the sweep, like I said, is a combination of a path and a shape. We're going to start with the path. Now the path is going to be right on the face of the core of the wall. Now getting that perfectly is going to be a pain. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of get in the ballpark. See that green line there? That green line must fall within the section that we created. And it does for mine easily. I'm just going to go around here. Now, when I do this next line, hers is a little kind of weird because she's got this little tower going on right here. So the strategy on that is I'm going to use the pick arrow. And what I need to do is I need to pick the exterior face of core. So I'm just going to tab select, tab, 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 there it is, boom. That's where I want to be. Now the other ones I'll fix in a minute. All right, let's continue the path. And we're just going to go around the outside. I'm going to do this really sloppy just because I want to show you where they're really supposed to go. Frankly, this is the easiest way to do it too. I'm just going to go really sloppy, not worrying about where I go, but basically the right direction. And then I'm going to finish at the garage. Okay, so this is what's called a path. Now my path isn't very good right now, so I'm going to fix it. I want this path to be the exterior face of the core of the wall. You can make this start kind of in the middle of the right before it, and that'd be fine. Something like that. Don't worry about that. And then we're just going to move this. I think it's easier to kind of sloppy it in and then kind of move it correctly right on that face of core. Now make sure it's on the face of core. Don't miss, because if you do, your details will be all messed up. Sometimes it has trouble snapping in. Oops, is that right now? Woo. Did I do that right? Let me zoom in, zoom out. That doesn't look good, does it? See that right there? So let's just make sure it snaps. I think what I did is when I made that line, I made it crooked. I'm going to delete that and put it in again. I think I made it crooked when I was being too sloppy. Just put that back in again, nice and straight. I'm going to go too far there. Okay, now let's try that again. Move it up, move it down, so that snaps in. So I just made mine a little crookedy there. And then I'll go ahead and trim that. Okay, so I'm just meandering along, so zoom out. So it's here and around, coming around. I'd use that pick arrow to get that, that tower. And then let's continue. I'm gonna move that. See how it snaps in. It snaps pretty good usually, unless you do like I did, make it crooked. Like that. Again, exterior face of core, not here. That's not the face of the core. That is right there. And then just keep working it. Again, I like to drag it out and then drag it back in again. That seems to be the easiest way. Sometimes you get too close, it doesn't like to snap either. If you're really having trouble, what you can do is you can use the align tool and align it to the face of the core. And you can do this strategy if you want anyway. Does that make sense? And kind of snap it in like that. And if you want to work it that way, more power to you. No problem with that at all. So that would be here and there. Some of you may choose to do that. And again, no problem at all. That one does not look good either. So boom and boom. So you've got it going to the exterior face of core all the way around. Now notice, see this part right here I was talking about before. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the path. And now I'm going to edit the profile and it's going to ask me where I want to look. Section 1. Now, when you do this section, I would like this section to be in detail level medium, so you can see all the beautiful stuff on your walls. And you can see we're doing really well here, the little dots right on a corner. So this is going to be the exterior footing. We're going to come down, we'll come down 2 feet. Well, let's see, is that a 2-story wall? That's a 2-story wall. We'll come down 2'6". Again, I'm not that worried about how far you come down. That depends on the soil you have and stuff like that. Now, the width of the footing on a 2-foot wall, this could be 1'3". And we're going to come up and don't quite go to the floor, a little bit back, just a little bit there, and then just do a 45-degree angle and then up and over. So this is going to be a closed loop. If it's not a closed loop, it'll get pissed at you. And then we're going to change the material to the same material that you used on your floor. And it should be some kind of a concrete that you did on your floor, your concrete floor. I did cast in place gray on mine. I'm not sure what Peyton did on hers. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. I'm not sure. And just for the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to put this in 3D. You can sort of see what's going on there. Let me put this in a line there. So what's going to happen is when I green check it, that finishes the shape, green check it, that finishes the sweep, and then green check it, and you're kind of done. And that would be the footing on the outside of the wall. Now, you'll notice that that it looks like it's kind of overhanging there a little bit. That's completely what's supposed to happen. Okay. In fact, if it's not overhanging like that, you messed up. Now, if I was to cut a section, let's go back to that section view. So what you see now is we've got the floor and we've got the footing, we've got the floor, we got the footing, but then there's this line here. If you join geometry, you pick the floor and you pick the footing. Oh, Yeah, I think this has to do with her curved surface there. I'm not going to worry about that. We'll come back to that. We'll get that in another place. All right, next step. We're going to do the garage curb. So the garage curb is basically, well, let me show you a section view. I'm just going to cut a section. I'm going to cut it right here and go to the view. So we have this dilemma, and the dilemma is the house is floating. So you can see that there's the garage floor right here, and there's the house, and well, you can't do that because gravity and all that stuff. What you're not going to do, not is this, because not what happens. All right, the wall does not go down to the ground. If it did, then the water would hit this and it would rot this thing, and it would be bad news. What we have here is we have this thing called a concrete curb that's going to span the distances of these two guys. And we're going to make that now. Okay, it's kind of like the same thing we did before. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and make a section. I'm going to make my strategy go this way, come around, and then go this way. So I need a section view that's going to gobble up the middle of the first wall that I do. And that looks real good there. That's probably section 2. Yeah, section 2 there. All right, same process. We're going to go architecture, component, model in place. We're going to put this in structural foundation. We're going to call this the garage curb. And hit OK. We're going to do a sweep. We're going to sketch path. And once again, we're going to I'm going to sloppy it in here. And you see the green line there? That's where the profile is going to go. And we'll come around. That was terrible, but it doesn't matter because you're going to move it to the correct spot. And again, I'm just going to pull this a little bit like that. Don't worry about where the transition is. As long as you got this on the right line, you'll be all right. And same thing here. Going to drag that out to the face of the core, exterior face of core. It's important you get it all right because as you wrap that shape around, it has to follow correctly. And it's going to go here. Let's go ahead and just drag that thing maybe kind of the middle there, right there. That should be fine. So we've got our path done. We're going to finish the path. And now we're going to edit the profile. By the way, this ever gets grayed out, you can go select profile and then hit it and it'll work. If this is grayed out, hit select profile and then edit profile. And we are going to go to section 2. And we're going to turn this to detail level medium. So the way this goes is we've got this gap right here. We need a curb in here. Let's go ahead and make our curb, I don't know, maybe around 8 inches or so. And we'll drop this down. So if you can picture it, there's going to be a chunk of concrete here that the wall sits on. Let's continue this. We'll go from here down, I'll go 2'6". And then we'll come across. Now this is only a 1-story wall here, so we're going to only go a foot on this one. So we're going to go a foot. We're going to come up almost to that edge, and we're going to go to 45, like so. Just eyeball that, and then up, and then over. So there's your shape. We are going to make it out of the same material that we did the other one, the cast in place gray, whatever material you used on your floor. There's your shape. This is the curb. That's the concept, the curb here. And then we have the footing underneath that displays the weight of the wall. So all that weight of all that roof and all that wall displaces, and it gets kind of almost like digging a groove in the ground, and supporting that that house. This also keeps your house from sliding. All right, we're going to go ahead and green check that. To finish it, we're going to green check, and we're going to green check. So now we have these two pieces here. Let's go ahead and join the geometry. Again, on Peyton's, I had that funky curve. See how smooth that is now. This line is just the level line right there. That line it's not really there. All right. So we have 2 down and 1 to go. So let's go back here and let's just say cut a section here. Let's just say, and let's go to the view. Set this to detail level medium. As you can see, there's my beautiful concrete curb right on the edge of the face of the core of the wall. And now that wall sits on that concrete curb. All right, next. We have one more problem. Make a section. I'm going to go right here. just going to show you first where we are. View. We have this other problem here where we've got our wall, and then we have the garage floor. We have our, and see how they line up? That's perfect. So Peyton did this perfectly. On the garage side is where they should line up. So basically, as you pass through the wall, through a door, then you drop down into the garage. So we need a footing, you know, to support that. And obviously, these guys are going to all be blended together. So let's start this. First thing is, what's just like the other two, we need to get a section. I'm going to start from here. Watch my mouse. I'm going to start from right here, and I'm going to move all the way up to here. Now, hers just happens to be a straight shot. Some of you will have L's. I think that's about it. There shouldn't be much to this. This is an easy one. I'm going to make sure that this is in the middle and gobbling up the middle. So as I move my thing up here, somewhere in the middle is where that profile is going to be. That looks pretty good there. Make sure you know what section you're working on. This is section, whoops, what section is that? That's section 4. So that's the one I'll be looking for. And here we go. We're going to go architecture, component, model in place. Just like we did before, we're going to go structural foundations. We're going to call this the garage to house. And we're going to do a sweep, and we're going to sketch a path. And this one is just going to be, it's going to be on the garage side at the face of the core. So on this one, hers is going to be right there. Garage side, face of core, and just kind of in the middle there. If you have an L shape, then it's an L shape, you know, same deal. On the garage side, okay. And again, you see where the middle is there. My section should be gobbling it up, and it looks like it is. My section's there, and I think I'm okay. So I'm going to finish the path. So this one's an easy path, right? Green check. And we're going to go ahead and edit the profile. And we're going to go to section 4. Set this to detail level medium. And it looks like we're there. Okay, so this footing is on a 2-story wall, so it's going to be 1'3". So that, you know, however you want to do this, 1'3" is 15 inches. So, you know, maybe you want to go 7.5 inches each way. This is completely up to you, as long as it's close. I could go 7 inches one way and 8 inches the other. That would be fine. I'm just going to go 0 space 7.5 for the purposes of this. You'll see where I'm going in a minute. Do you see where I'm going with that? Just so this becomes 1'3". And then I'm just going to drop a line in here, maybe, you know, somewhere down here somewhere. I can trim some. And then I'm going to take the shape of the footing. You'll see where I'm going here in a minute. I'm going to trim this and that, this and that. There's several ways you could do this. Again, you can just sketch it in and then just kind of do the dimensions. So, you know, there's your basic shape. It's going to look like that. It's going to look like a little kind of L-ish looking thing. The main thing is that the distance from here to here, if it's on a 2-story wall, which I think most of yours are, then it's going to be 1'3" from here to here. The height is going to be 2'6". So let's go ahead and throw a dimension on that. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Dimension from here to here. So that's too high. We're going to make that 2'6", something like that. Okay, that's fine. And then we're going to make sure the materials, concrete cast in place gray. Actually, you know what? I think it's 2'6" from the top line. Let me change that. I'm going to delete that, put that in again. So it's going to be from here to here, 2'6". Boom. 2'6". There we go. That looks better. Okay. Delete. Just needed the shape. And then we're going to go ahead and green check that, and green check that, and green check that. So we've got the footing underneath. Let's go ahead and join the geometry. Boom, and boom, and boom, and boom. So you get this kind of, so what happens is the weight of the wall comes down and it gets dispersed, you know, in that footing area. So we have 3 footings. I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like upside down. So they're all kind of meandering. This is the garage to house. This is the garage. And we're kind of off and rolling. Okay, now we have one more thing I need to show you, and it's called a garage curb. So if I go to the south elevation, the doors are going to be she did hers properly at -6 inches. The garage doors, -6 inches, because they start at the ground, not the floor. So this would be wrong like that. That's not what the doors do. They start at the ground. So -0 space 6. So the problem we have, just a small problem, is that we have a hunk of concrete sitting in the front of the door, which isn't desirable. So we have to do what's called a curb cut. We have to cut that chunk out because it's basically in the same place as our door. So here's the way you do it. We're going to go to level 1. By the way, if you have other doors like on the outside, you'll have to do this as well. What we're going to do is we want to start by making a reference plane where you want your curb cut to start. I'm going to start it right about here. I'm going to give that a name. I'm going to call this Fred. Okay. Doesn't really matter what you call it. Okay. Call it front of garage if you want, but I'm calling it Fred. All right. So here we go. We're going to go to the south elevation so we can see the garage doors beautifully. We're going to pick the curb that we created. Here's the curb, and we're going to edit in place. Once you edit in place, now you're just picking that curb, the one we want to cut. You're not picking the garage door or the wall or anything like that. It's just the curb. All right, so what we're going to do this thing called a void form and a void extrusion. And we're going to set it to Fred. So this is where we're going to start our cut. So you can call it whatever you want. Hit OK. And what you want to do is you want to make the curb cut where the garage door is in the same place as your concrete. I'm going to do it on both of these at the same time because you can. Now, how deep does it need to go? I don't know, maybe a couple of feet, probably not even that far. I'm going to do this in 3D so you can sort of see it there. So you can see it kind of on the front there. That's where Fred is. Let me just rotate this around a little bit so you can see a little bit better. There we go. Okay, now what's going to happen is this is either going to come out toward us, which we don't want, or it's going to go in, which we do. Let's see what happens when I do this. Oh, it's coming out the wrong way. So that's going kind of outward. I don't want that. So I'm going to change my depth, see it up here, to negative. Now watch what happens when I do negative in front of it. See how it rotates it and goes the other way. That's what I want. I want it to go into the, the house because that's where the curb is, right? I'm going to green check it. Now, if it gives you this, if it doesn't just cut it, then what you're going to do is you're going to go to cut. You're going to pick the orange part first, the void extrusion that we created, and then you're going to pick the footing and then green check. So what you have is you have this thing called a curb cut. Let me just show you what it looks like here if I pick this and just isolate the element. So we have this cut in the curb where the garage door is, because that's where the garage door takes up. And then this is in between, this is on the outside. If you go to your garage at home, if you look, at your doors, you'll see that curb kind of wrapping all the way around the outside. So that's the garage curb with the garage curb cut. Now, if you have any doors, like exterior doors that are like going in the back or whatever, you have to do cuts for all those. They all start at the ground. All right, let me put this back together again. Now, what I'm looking for as far as the grade goes is I wanted a cut that's encompassing the garage curb, the garage to house, and an exterior footing. So on Peyton's here, I don't know, maybe here, shooting through, picked off some of her stairs there. So that gives me the exterior footing, that gives me the garage to house, that gives me the garage curb. And then you can just sliver this back pretty far. They usually go just a couple of feet on these things. Yeah, it's going to hit her stairs a little weird. I'll just move this back just a little bit there. I don't know. Again, it's going to hit weird on the stairs no matter what, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go right click and go to view. So the view I'm looking for, put this in medium. I'm seeing the garage curb. There's the exterior face, of course, sitting on it. So she modeled hers perfectly. And then you've got the drop. Kind of see what's going on there. See, that's all one piece there. And then on the outside, you've got the curb. Don't worry about these lines. If you happen to have that, it's probably just because the materials are mixed up. Also could have been, like I said, because the when we did that tower on hers, it got a little testy, but I'm not worried about that. What we typically do is we would label all the rooms that are in here, but right now she hasn't got those in yet, so that's all right. We'll wait on that. Okay, last step would be to create a 3D model of this. So we're going to go into the 3D view. By the way, let's go back and look what section that was. Oops. That was section 5. So I'm going to go to the 3D view. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rename it. It's kind of hard right now because I don't really know what she's got going on. 3D section through, let's just say it's garage. We know it's garage dash living. Again, I'm not sure what room these are in hers. I don't know, kitchen. Something like that. Just kind of want to know where I'm passing through. So just let me know where this is. So watch the trick. We're going to pick, this is the clone of the 3D. So always make a copy of the 3D so you can do as many as you want. And I'm going to right click on the view cube, right click. I'm going to orient to view. I'm going to go sections, and it was section 5. And what it's going to do is it's going to cut right where we are on that section. Now, the thing is, this is kind of in 2D, so we're just going to kind of do a little wiggling here. Move that. And then because it's on that sliver, because that's what we did, we'll go ahead and just pull that back a little bit. Oops, I messed that up. Let's try that again. Pick on there. Let's see. Sometimes it's hard to, because when the slivers, you got to grab the arrow in the right spot. Where is it? Looks like it might be back here, huh? So again, picking on the view cube. Looks like that is right there. No. Jiminy. I want to go backwards. Boy, I think that's it right there. I'm just going to rotate this around. Is that it right there? No, I don't want to go forward. I want to go backwards. It's got to be this one right here. There we go. I thought I was grabbing it like that before. Okay, and we go all the way back just so I know that I'm encompassing the entire model. Now, if you want, you can also bring it this way. So the idea is I want to see exactly where that cut is in 3D. If you put this in detail level coarse, you'll see this kind of poching effect here. So kind of makes the main portions of the model stand out. You can do it that way. I'll take it that way, or I'll take it in medium, either way. So it's just giving me a 3D view of that particular space, which is kind of cool. And then we'll go ahead and VH the box here once you got it, VH. Now, I noticed that some people, when they first turn them in, this doesn't match the section that we did. It should. So don't mess with it once you pull it back, just leave it alone. That's a pretty good view right there. Just a little tilt so I can see the 3D portion. And then we basically put it on the sheet this way. So I'm going to create a new sheet. Whoops. New sheet. Desize. We'll call this building sections. Put your name and the project name, whatever your style is. So then we're going to do is we're going to take that section 5, I believe, on hers, and that's going to go on the sheet. This should be at 1/4 inches a foot, by the way. Okay, there's your section, and then you're going to put that 3D view on the sheet next to it. So we can give the client a 3D view of this 2D geometry, which is really helpful, especially if you have a real big building where you've got gazillions of sections. Knowing in 3D kind of where you are is very helpful. All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the footing sections. Wow, I did that terribly down there, didn't I? Dang cap locks. All right, that's it.